Hey everyone, good evening. Darrell here from the Central Oregon Daily Weather Center, and a lot's been happening so far today. So we're going to do a deep dive into your most reliable forecast, look at some of the changes we've already seen, what's been happening when it comes to fire weather conditions and evacuation notices, and just what's expected through the next several days. So starting things off, just looking at several cameras, there's a little bit of haze, but also a mixture of sunshine and only some clouds over the Tri-County area. When we turn our attention to this fire, it's the Alder Springs fire, and at the moment there are three different cameras that are pointed in that direction. You can see that big smoke plume that's coming up from it, and it's not really impacting air quality as much as it is prompting evacuation notices. So we're going to do both. We're going to start with your air quality conditions, and when we go ahead and just look at this map, we can see where the Alder Springs fire is. We can see that it is lowering air quality conditions to the southeast, but only just moderately. Now going forward a little bit deeper into it, the latest numbers show that the Alder Springs fire is at 1,500 acres, and it's just west of Crooked River Ranch. Now this continues to grow rapidly because of the strong winds that we're facing, and it's going to get a little bit worse before it gets better as far as wind speeds go. But there is also, I was just showing you just where the perimeter is the last time they mapped it. Now here through this afternoon and evening, we've seen rapid changes when it comes to fire evacuation zones, and their first one that was put on the map was this green one, the level 1 Be Ready zone that's to the west of where the Alder Springs fire is. But since about 5 o'clock, just before 5 o'clock, there is now a level 3 Go Now evacuation zone that is in effect. Now that's still well to the west of several cities, or not cities, but several streets in the Crooked River Ranch community. And I moved the map, but the words didn't move too much. Now they expanded the level 2 and level 1 evacuation zones further off to the east, so I'm going to put that back where it is, and we can see that part of the Crooked River Ranch community is in this level 2 Be Set zone. It's also in the level 1 Be Ready zone, and there's a good chunk of the area affected by this that's in the Go Now zone, or level 3, and some of that red creeps into parts of Crooked River Ranch just on the edges of it. So this is something we're continuing to track pretty closely here across Central Oregon. We've seen a few other changes, but this is the only fire that we have, and there is a level 1 Be Ready evacuation that's a little further to the south because of the Alder Springs fire over northern Deschutes County. And let me zoom in so you can get a better look at some of those roads. Now this is the Be Ready zone. The Go Now zone, that level 3 zone, is further to the north. That is in Jefferson County, south of Lake Billy Chinook. In fact, if we move the map a little further to the north, you can see where the tail end, you can see Culver, the tail end of Lake Billy Chinook as well. And so this is the area that is in that level 3 Go Now evacuation zone, and it's something we're continuing to track. But when we look at other conditions across Central Oregon, it has been extremely dry, even with a few sprinkles that passed through earlier today. We're talking midday and early afternoon hours. Just during the 4 o'clock hour, our relative humidity values were in the teens with some 20s. Now we're in the 20s with a few teens, and in Sisters it's at 40%. Now, winds have been gusty for many of us, and even right now, just at 5:37, we have gusts that are ranging between 15 and 30 miles per hour across Central Oregon. And in the area of this Alder Springs fire, those winds are between 20 and 26 miles per hour, those gusts. Now let's look at actual wind speeds, because through the last couple of hours, winds have really started to crank up. At about 2 p.m., we started to see stronger winds, and that's when we really began to see a lot more of these evacuation notices for the Alder Springs fire. Now winds have been breezy, even gusty at times, and they're staying in this range until we get to about 8 o'clock. That's when winds start to taper. Remember, everything to the left of this white line is observed. It's already happened coming from the weather sensors, and everything to the right of it is forecast. So this forecast model shows that we're getting down to a gentle breeze, a light breeze, then a gentle breeze, rounded after sunset. And then through the day tomorrow, it is going to get breezy at times through the afternoon, getting into the evening hours. Good news out of all of this is so far we haven't had any power interruption because of this, or at least what's being reported to poweroutages.us as of right now. Now let's go ahead and look at the rest of our forecast, because satellite and radar does show that we had some sprinkles earlier. Those have cleared out. We're into the clearing phase, and when we look a little further to the west, offshore, there is a warm front. This warm front is going to be impacting us through the day tomorrow. It's going to bump those temperatures up even more. Today we topped out in the upper 70s, lower 80s. Tomorrow, lower to mid 80s with a few 70s on the map. But we're done with the rain. And when we look at water vapor imagery, what this shows is it's similar to infrared satellite imagery, but this is showing where we have a lot of moisture in the air. That's where you see the greens, the whites, a little bit of blue on there. The blue is still dry, but over central Oregon, we have a very dry air mass that's coming into play, and that, coupled with very little cloud cover and tapering winds this evening, are going to set us up for what we refer to as radiational cooling. This just means temperatures are going to plummet, and they're going to bottom out pretty quickly. Further offshore, water vapor imagery shows that there's a lot of dry air, but there's also a low pressure. This low pressure is going to send waves of moisture our way, but we're not looking at anything in the way of precipitation until we get to Friday and Saturday, and that's because of this massive and warm, dry air mass over central Oregon. So in the last 24 hours, temperatures topped out in the 70s and 80s across our Tri-County area. Currently, those temperatures are sitting in the 70s for the most part, with a couple of 80s on the map, and those 80s are going to start to fall pretty quickly, but we keep that wind until after sunset. And as of right now, temperatures are running between 1 and 6 degrees cooler than 24 hours ago. Temperatures continue to fall through the 70s, 60s, then 50s, and after midnight we're dipping into the 40s with a few 30s. By tomorrow, back into the 80s under tons of sunshine with very little cloud cover. Now, we bumped up the UV intensity forecast to very high from Tuesday through Wednesday, and even still on Thursday. Thursday we introduce a little bit more cloud cover, but not much in the way of precipitation. It's just going to be in and out clouds. So that's why we're keeping it in the very high range. By the time we hit Friday, the UV intensity forecast plummets into the moderate range. And what that means for us is we're actually looking at more clouds and a chance of some showers. But until we get there, while we're staying in the very high range, remember, keep those sunglasses and sunscreen handy. If you're spending more than just a couple of hours outside, you might want a hat or protective clothing. That means UPF instead of SPF. All else fails, seek the shade, but make sure you're staying hydrated. Now, through the next couple of days, this is just a different forecast model for you, and it's actually showing us that we are staying sunny and that warmer air mass stays over us. This is focused on 850 millibar temperatures and surface temperatures, which really helps us understand what's happening temperature-wise through the Tri-County area. And notice that surface temperatures show that through the Cascades, not nearly as warm as the lower elevations, but that warm front pushes through. Temperatures tick up a few more degrees, highs in the 80s with a few 70s, and then by Wednesday still 80s and some 70s possible. It's not until this weak cold front, this trough, digs into the Pacific Northwest. Now, as it digs into the Pacific Northwest, it's going to be fizzling out, but it does bring more cloud cover. It does bring a slight dip in temperatures, and on the backside of that, we see even more change. So Thursday, we're looking at 70s with a few 80s and more cloud cover, and we'll notice that temperatures stay well above, or above average, I should say, for this time of the year, Tuesday and Wednesday. By Thursday, right on target for this time of the year, for Juneteenth. This is when we're looking at in and out clouds, but by the summer solstice on Friday, it gets much cooler. Rain chances are reintroduced back into the forecast. So let's talk about that chance of showers. We're going to start the forecast model with this evening. This is a high resolution forecast model. It's one of the in-house ones that really helps us and that we use on a nightly basis. So we have that warm front just offshore followed by a cold front, but we can see that this is already occluded, which means it's already starting to fizzle out. And as it makes landfall, that whole system, it's just going to break apart. But we do get the tail end of the warm front first, bumping us into the 80s, some in and out clouds Tuesday night going into Wednesday, and then Wednesday we are back to sunshine. Wednesday night going into Thursday, more clouds are expected, and through Thursday, in and out covers in the forecast, but we stay dry. Then by Friday, a low pressure system that right now is over the Gulf of Alaska. That's going to dig into the Pacific Northwest, and as it does, we catch our next chance of rain. So let's go ahead and look at the GFS. The other one ran out. It doesn't go that far, but the GFS is a long-range forecast model, and it takes us through the next 7 to 10 days, and that's something we're going to focus on here through the next few minutes. Okay, so by Friday, we have scattered showers, mostly late in the day. Notice that first round. I'm going to back this up. we're going to go little by little. Notice that first wave of moisture just brings a few sprinkles. And that's going to be Friday morning. Now it does show some snow. I'm not too eager about snow in the lower elevations right now. By Friday afternoon and evening, that's when we get some showers. Then overnight, a little bit more. And then by Saturday, it looks like a wetter forecast is expected. Temperatures are plummeting on Saturday, and by Sunday they start to rebound. We have a chance of early showers Sunday with those the petering showers that are expected Saturday going into Saturday night, and then we get our clearing. Then by Monday, we're back to more sunshine. So ultimately, this next system is going to be the best chance of rain after those sprinkles we had earlier today. And between now and then, oops, wrong button. Between now and then, we're not expecting much in the way of precipitation all the way through Wednesday at 11 p.m. So when it comes to winds, I've already showed you this map earlier, but winds are gusty this afternoon and evening. The actual wind speeds, not just the gusts, the wind speeds are between 10 and 20 miles per hour. And when it comes to what we can expect through the next couple of days, we get tapering winds this evening. By tomorrow afternoon and evening, it gets breezy for a short period. Same thing happens on Wednesday. But for tonight, we're looking at 40s with a few 30s. By Tuesday, through the 70s, into the 80s with a few 70s on the map, and then our 7-day forecast shows that we stay sunny Tuesday and Wednesday. By Thursday, additional clouds just in time for Juneteenth, and wind speeds pick up by the afternoon. These clouds aren't going to bring any precipitation, but between late Friday through early Sunday, we're looking at a chance of rain. The coolest and wettest day out of the next 7 will surely be Saturday. Some periods of clearing are expected, but highs will be in the 50s, well below that average high of 77 degrees. And then we're going to start to see a steady warm-up Sunday, and then temperatures really start to crank up by the time we get to the beginning of next week. Days 6 through 10 after this, or I should say days 8 through 14 after this, we're actually looking at temperatures getting well into the 80s once again. So just a recap for you. Our weather headlines for this Monday, June the 16th. A warmer and sunny pattern is on the way. PM winds are going to be fueling fire risk conditions, fire danger risk, and then a big late week cool down is expected. That cool down comes with a chance of rain by the time we get to Saturday. Mostly on Saturday, we definitely need the rain because our observed precipitation through the last 30 days shows a huge deficit, and our drought monitor actually shows that we are abnormally dry through the Cascades and the higher elevations of Crook County. But just to recap, another thing for you, we are continuing to track the progress of the Alder Springs fire, and at about 5 p.m. they issued a level 3 go now evacuation and expanded the level 2 be ready and the level 1, or the level 2 be set and the level 1 be ready into Crooked River Ranch. So this is something we're continuing to track pretty closely here at Central Oregon Daily News, and we'll have more updates for you as we go forward through this evening. But one more quick look at cameras. This shows you where the fire is because of the smoke plume, and it looks like with winds that are still breezy, it continues to kick up. Currently, there are no power outages, but we do have the evacuation notices, and winds are going to stay breezy for a couple more hours before they really start to taper off. Okay, so that is the latest in weather. Join us tonight at 6 p.m. on CBS, and then again at 7 on CBS. After that, we are going to be back on ABC after the game, and then on ABC and CBS at 11 p.m. I'm going to leave you with this fire evacuation zones map. Remember, this at the latest check was 1,500 acres and continue to grow because of the stronger winds. That's it. See y'all later this evening. Y'all have a good one.